away. And hopefully everyone just stay close to your microphones there so your computer's not looking for a sound that it can't hear. So stay close. Go ahead, Wendy.
Okay, thank you, Rob. And thank you for all of you for coming. Many of you I see are teaching artists. We've got a couple of regional coordinators that are on. Thank you very much for joining. The goal for this webinar is to enlighten people a little bit about the VSA Florida program that uses the ArtThread piece of technology. We call it VSA Florida Modern Skills for Success, and it's an offshoot of our My Art, My Way residency program. And if you're a teaching artist, we are actively looking for people throughout the state of Florida to teach this program. So if you like what you hear and you want to share with others, you do not need to be an artist per se to do this. You just have to have the technical expertise to be able to facilitate the technology, you know, on the computer. So anyway, the way this program is set up, well, first off, let me do one other thing. Let me thank Rob, because Rob is the brains behind all this deal. He is the president of the ArtThread Foundation, and we have been in partnership with ArtThread now for many years, and he, along with his cohort Jay Klein, keep the system running, keep it set up, keep all the different websites going, and make sure that it's a secure site for us and our students. There are many of these separate websites. The one that we're going to be talking about today, and the one that's specific, is the VSAFL.artthread.org. Okay, that's different than just artthread.org, and so we'll reinforce that as we go and give you the reasons why as we go through the program. So the idea of this program, it's our version of a transition age program. In other words, when we talk transition, we're talking students 14, 15 years old and up, and usually transition goes up to age 22 when students age out of the high school, Florida high school experience and go into other type of post-secondary school programming. So it's our way to engage the students and hopefully teach them some real life skills that can be used as they move forward through this period in time. The idea is to increase their skills with digital image manipulation and web applications that we're getting ready to look at, increase their ability to do presentations, maybe increase some communication skills, which ultimately lead to self-confidence. It is very peer-based, so it's definitely going to help with those social skills that so many of the kids need, because it's an art-to-art conversation. And you'll see in this interactive gallery, they'll create their gallery of their own. They'll create art that they'll be saving. They'll be uploading art, and then the art becomes the conversation with their friends and family. And through this program, they receive a little bit of training in entrepreneurship and micro-enterprising, so that they can kind of learn a little bit about e-commerce. And depending on the age and the ability of the student, it's how much we push that. For your, high-functioning students, this is very much a reality. For the lower functioning, that's probably not a goal that we'll reach, but we're making that available to them. The classrooms that we go into are very similar to all our other residency programs. We go in for 8 weeks at a time, 8 one-hour sessions, and we encourage the classroom teacher to make sure that we have an art lab, computer lab of some sort. It's best to have a one-to-one ratio of student to the computer, but that doesn't always happen. So we've been known to double up, and we'll talk a little bit about that as when we talk about the curriculum map. All the computers need to be broadband accessible to an internet, and so sometimes that's a little bit of an issue depending on what type of school it is, or a DJJ program. I'm going to say DJJ, a juvenile justice program, where they will not give them internet, except, well, we've seen it done, but it's a little bit more hoops to jump through. So anyway, there's all these parameters. I can send them to you once, if ever a residency is requested from a certain location and you're interested, then we will certainly make sure that the lab is all set up and ready for you so that you don't have to worry about that piece. We always tout this to our ESE directors who make their classroom selections in the fall that we do have this program. We serve all 62 counties around the state, and not all the counties want this. Most of them by far want either a music residency or they'll want a visual art. But many times we have areas that are very focused on this transition age, and again, the more artists that we have in the area that can teach the program, the more we can push it with our ESE directors that make these selections. So anyway, that's sort of a really brief overview of what the program's about. I'm going to let Rob kind of take over facilitating the, what the modern skills is all about, and what the splash is all about. And then as we go, we'll kind of keep it loose. There's not too many of us, so it looks like we can keep it rather loose and be able to ask questions and hopefully answer some of maybe things that you've played with already and you have concerns about. So take it away, Rob.
Thanks, Wendy. And let me just say that it's really a privilege for us to be able to work with VSA so long, and with Wendy. It's just it's wonderful. So thanks for supporting us and ArtThread and everything that you guys do. We're very proud to be part of it. So today we have a full agenda, and the idea is that I want to give you a broad overview and dive into an actual mini training session on how you'll be able to use the ArtThread gallery and its art making tools to, at the very minimum, have fun with these students, and at the highest level, give them a chance to really understand what goes on with the web and with images, and to communicate and creatively express themselves and share their art with their friends. So this program that Wendy mentioned started out as the work of art program that we produced, and we did that with VSA. We're a nonprofit foundation, and we have partners all over the United States who are using custom-made galleries like VSA. We started out with research at the University of Florida, where we were giving computers to kids in the cancer ward and letting them use them, and we measured to see if that made them feel better, and lo and behold, it did. So we decided to stop measuring smiles and take this out into the public. And so our mission is, of course, to make art and creative expression available to everyone. And that image up there is one of your VSA dance folks combining an ArtThread splash session with a live dance performance. Pretty cool.
That's cool. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a good one. And so we use technology. We're a tech company that is in the nonprofit business, and what we do is we partner with people. So social entrepreneurship is what we're all about. So if you know the old BASF commercials, we don't make your program, we make your program a little better. That's our mission. So we hope that what we can do in the end is build a community and encourage creativity, and, by the way, create a wonderful body of artwork that becomes a pretty special piece of business for everyone involved. And as Wendy mentioned, we have several partners all over, and I can hear a little thank you. A little noise coming up there. So these are some of the partners that we work with all over the country, and it's a privilege to do that. So today's agenda. We'll start with hopefully having some fun. We want to build some of the skills that you're going to use, and of course the idea is that you are going to be the one who trains these skills to the students. So you're not going to learn everything about this in today's session, but hopefully after we're done, you're going to go and play around a little bit, and you're going to learn on your own before you step into the classroom. And you'll see, it's not that hard to figure out. You've been given some resources. You got an email from me before this started. Hopefully you got that. And we want to let everyone ask questions, sort of practice using the features today, and then learn about the roles and responsibilities that you have as what we'll be calling a gallery approver, because no art is going to go up on the VSA Florida website without approval from an adult, and you will be one of those approvers. And then we'll talk about how we'll map the gallery activities within the class with the curriculum map, which I think I sent to everyone also, and if not, we can send that again. So you've got a training guide and checklist. And if you don't memorize what we say today, or you go back and watch the recording and you still have questions, this is a great checklist for how to proceed with your student. All the steps you're going to do to make sure everything is working just right so you can have fun with the student. And then there's a bigger guide to the gallery. This is an 8-page document that explains pretty much all the functionings of the gallery. So if you read that and follow the steps, it'll be like you're here at the webinar, and you won't have to listen to my voice, so that could be even better. There's a gallery administration guide that you guys don't have to worry about much, but it is available. And then we gave you the steps to a masterpiece handout, which is a way that you can execute what we call art made in a minute. And so you can immediately have success and wonderful results in less than a minute with your student. And you can follow this step-by-step procedure, and you'll see how cool it is. And I'll model that for you in this session. So it seems to me that the best thing to do is to start out with the fun. So now, hopefully, you are looking at the VSA FL/ArtThread gallery. And I think that should be on your screen now. So when you come to this gallery and you use it, make sure you see the VSA logo up there. If you don't see that, you're not on the right ArtThread gallery. You might be on one of our partners or one of our public galleries, which does not have approvals. So make sure you see that. And let's see. Let me see if I'm still logged in here. Yep, I am. So I am going to push this button here called Create Art Online. And it's going to take me to Splash. And this is our tool where people make art online. And there's no paint to clean up. It's impossible to make a mistake. It's a no-fail way for students to make art. And no one has to feel like they're not an artist. All I have to do is just push. I'm just pushing the mouse down and dragging it around. That's all I'm doing. And because of the great way that Carnegie Mellon University created this for us, no matter what I do when I first start out, even if I don't know what I'm doing, I have art. Look at that. I'm a genius. There's a bit of randomness to this program, so it's almost like a game. So if you're willing to put a little time in and experiment, you're going to see just how cool it is to get to perhaps master one of the 3 million possible ways you can make art on here. So let's start what we might call the made in a minute plan here. So I'm going to push on New, and let's see if the system catches up, and I'm going to pick a size called Huge, which I think is a good way to go if you're on a big computer monitor like I am. If you're on a smaller one, you might pick a smaller size canvas to work with. And now you'll see on the left here are all the controls for Splash. Don't worry about memorizing what they do. If you roll your mouse over them, you'll see what it is. But this is the brush right here. And I am going to pick. So imagine this is you going into the class, and maybe you have a student who's a little unsure of themselves, or maybe not real computer savvy, or maybe physically disabled. You're going to do what I do. You're going to do it for them to start out. So I'm just going to pick the helix because I like that one. I'm going to push the color wheel and start out with something nice and bright. And I'm going to turn the variation way up so I get all kinds of variations. I'm going to hit OK. And again, don't worry about memorizing any of this. And now I'm going to click the one expanding brush tool. So far I've done 3 things to set it up. Now I have my cursor in the middle of the screen, and I'm simply holding the left mouse button down. That's all I'm doing. That's it. So you could do a hand over hand with a student who might not be able to use the mouse very well, or you could just demonstrate it for them once. So all I did was click it once. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to click it again. Again, the mouse is in the center of the screen. So now I have these really cool helixes here. And now I'm just going to pick one other brush. I like this one, the spinning square. Where is it? There it is. And I'm going to pick down at the bottom of the screen here, instead of grow, I'm going to pick shrink. And again, I'm holding the mouse down in the middle of the screen. I'm clicking. Voila. There you go. Made in a minute. So this will be at the Museum of Modern Art next week. I don't know. Why are you laughing? What's the big deal? So I just made a piece of art, and I'm not a great designer. I'm not a great artist, but this program allows me to do things that I could never do without it. You see the shading in that green. You see the precision of the lines. It's just so cool. So that's the Made in the Minute program there. And that's your introduction to Splash. And Splash can do some amazing things. We'll come back to it in a minute. But I'm going to move pretty quickly here because I want to lay everything out for you and then let you ask your questions. But if you have a burning question and you really want to ask it, just go ahead and jump right in. So as Wendy mentioned, when you begin to train and start using this with your students, and hopefully this will have been done before you get there, do they have a modern computer and a modern computer and a modern browser? We used to have to worry about this more, but now, almost all computers and browsers will work. You go to vsafl.artthread.org, and I'm hearing some noise here. Let's see who that might be. Stand by while I check something here. Ah, got it. Make sure you go to that particular website. And then you want to be able to tell a little bit about the ArtThread gallery story and start having fun making art online. And I'll get into that in a minute. Want to make sure that your student registers. If your student is not going to register, then you'll need to register for your student. And we'll go over that in a minute. Then you'll play with Splash, just like I did. Save your art, approve your art. You'll browse the gallery, show them how they can see everyone else's art. Show them my gallery, which is separate from the public side. It's the gallery that you, the owner, the person with an account, you have a section that no one else can see. And that's your My Gallery. And we'll show you how to work with threads, how to invite your friends by sharing art, and the ways that you can get help should you get lost. And of course, your students too. So that's 10 steps there. That's a lot of stuff, but really it's pretty simple. So remember that you have a training guide that duplicates everything I'm telling you right now. And as we said, make sure you have Internet Explorer versions 7 and up and Adobe Flash on the computer. Those are the basics. Got to have those. So you'll note that the gallery will work with just about every kind of computer, except it doesn't do very well on iPads. You have to download a different browser called Photon Browser in order to use it on an iPad. And if you want to learn more about that, we actually have a help screen for that on the website. Once again, don't forget to go to vsafl.artthread.org. Very important. So what is the story of ArtThread? You want to be able to have this little elevator speech going, so in case the student asks you, the teacher asks you, Wendy asks you, whatever, you need to be able to do it. So here's a kind of a nice way to think about what the gallery is. And it's what Wendy said, it's the art-to-art conversation. So what we're using is we're communicating without words. So there's no chance for a student to say something inappropriate to another student. It's just art going to art. You can also think of it as social networking with paintbrushes. And our favorite is it's a place to connect while being creative. Other ways to think of the gallery, it's a no-fail environment. It's just no way that you can make a mistake, no paints to clean up, No reason for you not to keep trying and trying and trying and having fun. You don't have to throw paper away. You don't have to get frustrated. You don't have to break your pencil. Just start anew. Go for it. And we have a platform for the students to share with their aunts, their uncles, their grandparents, with you, with Wendy, exactly what's going on in the class. So it's all built in. So you're going to start by registering. And by the way, does anyone have any questions so far? Am I moving too fast? No comment. All right. Let's go to creating an account, which I think someone had a question about. Where did my... there we go. Okay, so when you come to the VSA gallery, you probably won't be logged in, so it'll look like this. And you're going to want to register. So see the tiny, I wish this was bigger, this tiny word register up here at the top. If I mash on that, I'm going to come to the register page. And for those of you who have not already done this, please make sure that you have registered on the VSA gallery and you've created an account. We're going to ask you to make sure that you do that, because I'm going to turn all of you into gallery approvers at the end of this training or after you have registered, so you can approve art. So you'll see here, and I'm just going to do a sample one here. Call myself Mo. You notice I'm only using one letter for the last initial. This helps us to protect the identity of the students. Need a password of some sort here. It doesn't matter what it is. We don't have a lot of tight restrictions there. We do want the postal code so that we can keep track of what region you're in. And of course it filled in the state for me, but I have to pick the county. So I'm in Alachua County. Then the system is going to keep asking me questions. So make sure you help your student and you yourself follow through these steps. So the school type, if it's one of your students, it's pretty obvious. But for you yourself, I want you to pick other, because we don't know, you may be going to multiple schools. And then it gives you all the schools. So I've picked other. It gives me all the other sort of schools in Alachua County. But I want you to choose administration, because you're not associated with a specific school. You could be doing this anywhere. And you put your email address in, and you agree to the terms, and then you hit register, and you'll be registered. Simple as that. And once you do that, you can go back up to the top, and you can, I have a name called VSA1, and I can log in. So now, as you can see, the system knows who I am up there. It's VSA2, and it tells me I have some messages, which I won't get to yet, and it drops me into my gallery. And this is the art that I've made myself. No one else can see it unless I share it on the main gallery. So that's the registration and the logging in process. Any questions about that? Piece of cake, right? Next step, create art online with Splash. Have a blast. And again, we did a little bit of that just now. I'm going to mash on create art online again. And I'm going to just pick a brush and just start drawing. And again, it randomly puts a brush and a color up as soon as you go into Splash. So you can go right away. It was on black and it was on stars. I have an undo button here on the left, which I can undo. And let's pick a different color. That's kind of dark. And let's pick, I like this one here with the multiple brushes that are connected with springs. And oh, is that trippy. Look at that. So we make art however we would like to, and then there's a button called Save. And you need to be logged in so that we can save your art. So I give it a name, I say OK. Let's see how fast the system is here. When I'm on these meetings, it can be slow. Ah, here we go. So I'm going to add it to my gallery. And then you have the all-important Add Art page, which gives me a picture of the art that I've just created, gives me a chance to work with the title. I can add to it, stars and more. I can add a comment. You can think of this as what's on a museum card on a museum where you say something about the art there. And we ask if it's all right for your art to be used in the stores that we have. So you can say yes or no there. And the medium is splash. So I'm going to save my art. And now the system takes me to my gallery. Again, this is my little section that the public can't see. And you'll see this lovely icon here saying awaiting approval. So this is the experience your student's going to have. And they're going to say, wow, I wish I could see my art. What's the deal? So for residents and teachers, we have an art approvals process, as you can see on the screen there. So because I am an approver, all the way down at the bottom of the screen here, if I can get let's see if I can get a spotlight here. There it is. All the way at the bottom of the screen there, hopefully you can see this little red dot moving around, is the Gallery Approver link. And when I click on that, I get to the Gallery Approver screen. Your students won't see this. You will see this. And I can see that there's a piece of art here that wasn't apparently the most recent one made. Somebody else made this art and it just hasn't been approved yet. So now you may say to yourself, okay, what am I doing here? Well, how do I approve or disapprove a piece of art? We do have written guidelines for that. We can share that with you, but basically the rule is you don't want anything that is going to scare a kid, that is going to reveal a kid's identity. No gang symbols, no religious symbols, no photographs of an actual kid, none of those things. Just make sure that you've got something there that is not going to disrupt anything in the Florida public school system. You got to use your judgment there. If you're not sure, you could push the uncertain button. If you're really sure you want to approve it, you're looking at three things. You're looking at the art itself, you're looking at the title, make sure there's no curse words in there, and you're looking at the comments. And there's no comments on this one. So this one's pretty easy. I'm going to approve it. Here's another one. Rainy days, just testing out splash. That's fine. Lovely piece of art. I'm going to approve that too. And then here's the one that I just made. And I think I like that one too. So I'll approve it. Yay. Now, imagine I'm your student now. Go back to my gallery, and now instead of that icon, art needing approval, there's the art visible right there. So if I click on that piece of art, now I go to an art detail page, and there's my art. And if I click it again, I go to a nice big screen here that shows me my art in a nice light box. So that was a pretty fast walkthrough of how you make a piece of art, save it from Splash, wait for it to get approved, you, the approver, approves it, and it appears in your student's My Gallery. Any questions there? Good.
I don't.
Good, good, good. Back to the training guide. Let's see what we have here. So I'll just give you a quick look at how we browse around the gallery. By the way, whenever I want to get to the home page, I just click anywhere in the top bar here. In this case, I'm clicking on VSA. That takes me to the home page. If I want to stop looking at this lovely copy that explains kind of what the gallery does and has some links to places on the VSA website, there's this little unmarked dot to the right here next to contact. If I click on that, it just turns off the top messages. Now I can see more art instead of those words. So if I want to navigate around the gallery, right now I'm looking at all the art. That's what that little button means right there. And I can sort it by random. In other words, the system just pops up things without any regard for any kind of sorting. I can sort by date, the most recently made piece of art that was shared on the public side in a thread. We'll get to that in a minute. Or I can go by title. This would alphabetically go through. And look what we have here. We have some religious symbolism here that probably shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's not hurting anybody, it's just we don't want to look like we're endorsing any specific religion. It's just not a good idea. So here's how you can alert me and Wendy to that. I just clicked on that. Now I'm looking at the art detail page of that. And down in the left corner here, see it says report objectionable art. And I'm just going to click on that. And that has been reported. And I get an email about that. And what I can do is exchange that piece of art with something else. So don't be afraid to report any art you might see if you think, hey, you know, this probably should not have been approved. I won't get into the, you know, how we decide what should be approved and not approved. That's really in Wendy's department there, because she's the one who would have to answer to it if it got through. But that's an easy way for you to do it, and then we'll either get rid of it or we'll say, no, it's fine, and leave it there. So as you can see, as I go through by title, I'm just clicking this right-hand arrow here and just sorting through all this really cool art that's been made on the VSA gallery. There's some awesome stuff here. This is a cool one here. Look at that. That was made using Splash. So you can see how you can get good at some of the patterning, and this is why sometimes we find our students on the autism or Asperger's spectrum who are really enthralled with sequencing, who love to go through all the steps and repeat all the steps. Well, making art with this is just like making art when you're a painter. You have to start somewhere, and slowly you're adding layers and layers and layers. And so you can see here, this is an example of how someone really paid attention to how the various aspects work so they could get this repeating pattern. So pretty cool. So I've showed you how to browse all the art and how to sort it by random or by date or by title. Now what I'm going to talk about is threads. Let's see if I'm in the right place there. Yep, my art and my threads. So threads are part of our name, ArtThread, and they are the art-to-art conversation. So when you post a piece of art, you post it in a new thread or you respond to a piece of art that's already in a thread. So if I click on this button here, all threads, now you see the first piece of art in all the threads that are on the gallery. So think of threads, imagine if we were in a giant museum and we took all the walls down and it was just one big place and all the art was there. That's what the all art is. It's just all there for you in whatever order it might be. If I go to all threads, now we're looking at all the different rooms in the museum, each one its own little gallery. But really what they are is threads. So if I click on this one here, I'll see a thread called Jordan Batman. This thread only has one piece of art in it. That's okay. No problem there. But each of these is the doorway into another thread. So here's a thread called Chamberlain Gang 1. I don't know about the word gang, but this seems pretty harmless. So you can see how somebody started it and then people added, or this person added art to the thread. Pretty cool. And you can also see how here, this is a good example of what it appears that someone brought a piece of art into Splash, that would be this thing in the middle, and then used Splash to enhance it, to create a scene around an existing piece of art that they had. So that's something you can do in Splash. You can bring in other art and then add to it and modify it. And now imagine you can do that as a group project in your classroom. So someone starts a piece of art, and the next person does a little more, then the next person does a little more, and pretty soon you have one piece of art that's the product of a collaboration, but individual collaboration with a whole bunch of students. An amazing thing to do. So that's what the threads are. And right now, as you can see, we're in thread view. We're looking at one thread. If I click all threads, I'm looking at the first door, the first page, and all the threads on the VSA gallery, of which there are many. So that's how you navigate around. You have a menu bar up here, pretty self-explanatory. And again, when you start poking around, that'll be your job to to poke around and learn about those things. So let's start a thread, add to a thread, and respond to something that's on a thread. Remember that when you want to work with threads, believe it or not, you start with your own art. You don't start thinking about threads, thinking about your art. So I'm looking at my gallery, and I think I'll pick this one here. Yeah, I like this one. More sticks. So I am going to, hold on a second. Let me pick a piece of art that I haven't used yet. Yeah, let's pick this one here. This one is a brand new piece. And so this gives you a chance to see what the interactivity is with a brand new piece of art. You'll see the button here, Start New Thread. So I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to title my thread The Stars. I'm not going to lock it. In other words, I'm going to let other people add to it. I'm going to hit Continue. And the system says, congratulations. We love to do that. We love to say congratulations. And I click here to view the thread, and voila, I have created a thread on the ArtThread gallery called Stars. If I want to add to that thread, the thing to do is to click on the art now. And now you see these buttons, add to this thread, respond to this piece, or upload new art. So I just want to show you here, this is your key here. Add to the thread puts the art to the right-hand side of the existing art, and respond to the piece puts the art below it. So you can think of this as like a Scrabble board, and you have to decide where that art goes. We could have called it add it to the right or add it below, but we wanted to sort of promote the idea of a conversation. So you're adding to the thread in general, or you're responding specifically to that piece of art. So I'm just going to respond to this piece of art. I click that button, and now the system shows me all the art that I have in my gallery. Cool. Do I have anything that looks starish? There's a star right there. I'll pick that one. Am I sure? The answer is yes. Whoop, I get congratulated again. How nice. So now you see, because I chose respond, now that piece of art is below the stars one that I started. So if you're building a thread for your class or asking a student to build a thread, you could go out to the right or you can go below. Simple as that. That's a very short description of threads. So please, if you have a question, ask it now, or maybe after you play around, you'll kind of get it. Anyone have something right now that they want to ask? Man, I hope I'm not putting you guys to sleep.
No, but this is Wendy. I just want to mention, if anybody wants to ask a question, on the right-hand side, there's also a chat button that you can press, and you can type in your question as well.
Yes. Yeah, feel free to do that if you're wondering how in the world you can interrupt me. Okay, good. Well, let's presume you know a little bit about threads. It's all pretty simple. Let's see. So let's talk about sharing art and making slideshows. So I'll go back to the art detail page here. And if I'm a student and I made this art and I think, this is really cool, I'd like my mom and dad to see this. So I can hit this little icon here. Looks like the talk bubble from a comic strip. And it was written out too, share this artwork with a friend. And all I have to do is put in my own email address so that I can get a response. And I can put someone else's email address in there too. Oops. What's your address, Wendy? Wendy.Finkley? What is it? Okay, Wendy's not answering me. Somebody give me an email.
W. Finkley.
Oh,
at
W.
USF.
Finkley at
usf.edu.
There you go. But I got to spell it right though, right? W. Finkley. And I can write a little message from the training. So I hit the share button, and now Wendy is going to get an email that basically says, you have art. Just like the old you have mail. And she's going to get an image, the image that I just sent her, and an invitation to come back to the gallery and view that art and view the thread that art is in. So you can kind of see how you might be able to go viral with a piece of art, because you could paste in recipients' email addresses here. You can paste in as many as you want. Paste in 50 of them. So a student could share this with a whole bunch of people all at one time. So it's a great way for them to, you know, share with the family. Let everybody see what they're doing. And of course, we want you to do that too. At the end of your class, go ahead and share something with Wendy or share something with me. For example, you could share a whole thread. I'm going to go to my gallery. Excuse me, I'm going to go to the home page, pick all threads, and just pick any old thread here. And you'll see this button here says share this thread. So I'll be, instead of sharing a single piece of art, unfortunately I picked one with only one piece. Let me go back here. I can share, I'm batting 1,000 here. There we go. There's one with 2. So when I share this thread, there's going to be a link to take them back to the whole thread. So imagine a scenario that at the end of your session with the class, you got 15 pieces of art in one thread, and somebody says to you, well, what'd you do today in class? You share that thread, and then you can say, this is what we did today in class. Here's all the cool stuff that we did. So it's a wonderful way to do that, and very simple. So you can also create slideshows too that you can share. And you can see here I can share this slideshow. I can share this thread as a slideshow. So I just push this button and the system automatically makes a slideshow that will never end of all the art in that thread. Now we only have 2 pieces here, so it's just going to keep going back and forth forever. And I could copy and paste, you know, how you share things on the web where you copy the URL and you could send that to somebody, and they could see it and enjoy it and see it forever. It's also done sometimes with our partners who have flat screen TVs around their office or around the school or around the hospital. You can have these slideshows running which clearly show the great work that's being done on the partner gallery that we're talking about. So pretty cool. So that's sharing art, and that's creating a slideshow very quickly. You can also create slideshows in My Gallery. There's a slideshow button, and you can really get into you know, picking how you want to create that show, including from all art in the gallery, just from my art, or from my favorites. My favorites is a really cool thing to do to develop your own collection of art. It's not your art that you made, but you just love it. So imagine walking around the museum and just touching each piece of art that you like and you make it a favorite. And that's this little heart here. Hope you can see that on your screen. Little heart, add to my favorites. When I click on that, that goes in my favorites in my gallery. And when I go over to my gallery and go over to my favorites, there are a couple things that I've saved as my favorites. So pretty cool. Lots of ways you can interact and develop your own collection of art, even if you didn't make it. So how would you get help after you listen to all these things come at you so quickly? What would you do? There's a button here called Get Help. And all you have to do is click on that. We have online tutorial movies for each of the sections of the gallery, how to use them. We have a specific page just about Splash, which is very useful. It goes through all the functions that are in Splash, each one of the controls, and it gives you the names of them, and it shows you what to do with each one of them. So if you're the kind of person that likes instructions, go through and read through that and learn about all the different steps that you can take to create art with Splash. But if you're the kind of person that likes to fool around and learn on your own, just get into Splash and start clicking around. You'll learn about it that way too. We also have that item I mentioned, how to use Splash on an iPad or an Android tablet. And then there's the help section. Just so I keep scrolling down here, and there's just a very deep and big help section, which is duplicated almost entirely in your guide to the gallery that I sent you guys via email. So that's how you get help if you get stuck on something. Or you can always email me, and my phone number is in my email signature. You all have it. If you really get in a bind, give me a call. I'm happy. If I can answer the phone, I will try to help you right away without delay, if I can. So that is the 10 steps. We ran through them pretty quickly. I know Pat wanted me to show one other way that you can add art to the gallery. So we looked at my gallery and we looked at all this art, and this was all made on Splash, but wait, look at this. This is not made on Splash. This is just a photograph that I took. How can I add that? How can I add photos? And imagine a photo that you take of art that was made in the non-Splash way. So we have a lot of folks who go to an art class. They do sculpture, they do paintings, they do whatever they're going to do in the art class, and then you can just take pictures of it with your cell phone and upload those pictures. So don't be afraid to include any kind of art inside the ArtThread gallery. It's not just splash art, anything at all. So how do we do that? We go to this bar up here, it says Add Art. And I have a couple questions. I would like to create art using Splash. Well, we already know how to do that. I want to start a new thread. We already know how to do that. I want to upload art. So I'm going to hit Next. And the system does what you've seen, I'm sure, on many websites and many software programs. It says choose a file. So I have some preloaded things here. Let's get something that's definitely not made on Splash. Oh, here we go. A nice beach scene. And I push upload, and it says it's uploaded successfully. But now what do? I have to click here to continue to do the normal ArtThread saving process. And when I do that, I'm back to this page, which hopefully looks familiar to you. And that's where I can give it a title. Call it Beach. And the comments, oh, I think it's dreamy. And the medium, just for my own edification, as I sort my own art, I'm going to call it a photograph. And I'm going to save it. And look, it needs to be approved. Who's going to approve that for me? One of you guys is going to do that for me. But for now, I will do that myself. So I'll go to Gallery Approver, and I will approve. Now, if I wasn't sure, I could hit Uncertain, and it'll just go to the next person. So what happens when art is waiting to be approved, emails go out to all the approvers in the region. In this case, you might get an email, and then you might wait 10 minutes to finish your coffee and then go check, and you'll say, well, how come I don't see it? It's gone. That's because someone responded a little faster than you did. But if someone said uncertain, then you would get a chance to look at it again, and you might say, oh no, I know for sure that's good, that's bad. Or you might also be uncertain. And you could click uncertain, and that it'll go to another person. So it'll go to 3 rounds of uncertainty. If no one can figure it out by then, it's considered to be unapproved. In other words, declined. But in this case, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's pretty nice. I'm going to approve it. I go back to my gallery, and there it is. So, how could you use the gallery? What might you do in the classroom to have some fun? Here are some ideas. You could just start out, and I always recommend this, you could just start out by just letting the kids play with Splash. Don't worry about saving their art. Don't even worry about making an account. Just let them play with Splash. Get them engaged. Get them sort of hooked on all the great things about Splash, because that is the best thing that we have to engage people. It's just really, you know, you can get lost in there. You'll get in there and start playing with it, and pretty soon you'll look at your watch and go, whoa, what happened? So go ahead and do that. That's okay. You do want to get an account so you can save art. So don't wait too long for that, but it's certainly fine to start out by just having fun. Then you can do what we call Splash Round Robin, where on one computer station, the kids just start changing, like musical chairs. Each kid gets 20 seconds, and you could play music, you watch your stopwatch, and you say, stop, next person sits down, and each of those kids is continuing the process of making art in Splash, and you get a really crazy product at the end of that the kids have done. They're all laughing and having a great time. So again, that's not hard to do. So that's an easy one to do once kids maybe have a little more exposure to Splash. And then we think what you should do is to create a thread for the class. You can do this on your own, and build that thread during your residency so you have a great mini gallery of all the work of the class. So please go for that. Do that. That's a wonderful thing for you to do. And then what some people do is, check out what do the kids learn about in class? What are we doing in class today? Oh, we're doing science, or we're doing weather. All right, well, let's draw clouds. All right, well, we're doing math. All right, well, let's put some shapes on the screen and count them and see how many there are. And if you divided this by this, how many would that be? That's a little pedantic, but you could get inspired by what the kids are working on in school before and after you're there. So it's a great way to try to tie in what we're doing with what they're doing in the rest of their class. And I'm sure you guys are creative. You can think of some ways you might be able to do that, especially if you were to, say, take pictures of some other interesting visuals that might be used within the thread that you're trying to tell a story of. Think of a thread as a story, a beginning and a middle and an end. That's another great way to do it. And then, of course, use the share function. Invite parents and everyone else who's a stakeholder in these kids to come and look and see what's being done. Again, strongly encourage you guys to do that. So again, we're just reiterating that. Create threads filled with the art from your work with your students. You can share that thread with your fellow VSA artists. All of you will be doing that in the class. Share those threads with Wendy and I. Create slideshows and share them. And so what you're doing is you're doing what I think what is the mission of both VSA and ArtThread, which is to provide some therapeutic benefits, give the kids a chance to learn to use computers a little better, and really my favorite thing, which is build community. Get the kids to get a sense of that they're not alone, that they're with a big group of people who are making art. And, maybe they'll have that nice moment where they look at the screen and go, hey, I made that. That's a great feeling. So that's my breakneck speed training for using the gallery. Let's have some questions. Anybody have something they want to get clear or challenge or say you're crazy or whatever?
Hi, this is
Rob,
Dixie. Oh, sorry.
Yep. Go ahead, Dixie.
Okay, hi. I just wanted to understand when you said the musical chairs concept, one person or more than one person touching the piece to create a community piece.
Yes.
Um, that really spoke to me. So should it always be done from a musical point of view, or we can just say you're going to do these 3 colors and then somebody add 3 more colors, and then when it's all finished, it's everybody's piece?
The latter. You can structure it any way you want. It doesn't. You don't even have to give them any limitations. You can just say you just have to do something different than the person who did it before you. Simple as that. I use musical chairs because that's how my brain works. That's an example of people running around and sitting down, but it doesn't have to be musical at all.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, you think of a variety of ways to do it. Whatever works for you.
Rob, this is Pat York. Can I add something to that piece? The only thing that you really need to make sure that the kids do, or that they don't do, is that they should never start it over again and start a new piece, because sometimes you have a child that goes from computer to computer and they always start a new one. So they have to you want to make sure that they are adding art to it rather than erasing everything that the other kids did and then starting a new piece.
That's a great point, Pat. A really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. So here I am doing something. If I let go here and hit the new button at the top, it's just going to wipe it out. And then that's what Pat's illustrating. Now we're back to a fresh screen, which we don't want. But here's a power tip for you. Let's say that we do a little something, and then the next child comes up, or the next transitioning student comes up and does something else. You could save. You could hit the save button. You could just call it class. And this will slow things down, but Pat, this may be something, because Pat is a power user, by the way. Pat's been doing this for a long time. You see this button called Continue Drawing? If I do that, that keeps me right where I was and doesn't change anything. and then the next kid comes up and does something. And we just keep doing that and doing it. Every time another person comes up and does it, we could hit save again, and I'm hitting save, and I say continue drawing. And you can just keep doing that again and again and again and again. And so what's going to happen is when you actually hit save for the last time, let's say here I hit save and I go to add to my gallery, all those iterations of the drawing are going to be there. So you could save all of them. So here's the latest one. We'll call this latest, and I hit save. Oh man, the system didn't do what I wanted it to do. And what it should have done is saved a bunch of different, oh, I had to give it a different name. That's right. If I'd given a different name, that was my bad. If I'd given it a different name each time I saved it, then I would have had, what I would have had in the queue when I was saving, there was a bunch of different pieces of art where sort of show you the evolution of what you did in the class.
Oh, yeah, that would actually be really good for a slideshow.
Yeah, yeah. I know, you could show like, here's how it worked. And it would sort of build like that. Yeah, yeah. So just remember, don't do what I did. When you hit save, like, you know, give it a purple 1, like that. And then hit save, and then continue drawing. And then I'll just pick a different brush here and do something else. And then I'll hit save, and I'll call it purple 2. Let's see if I have any brains on this one here, if I can still remember it. So there's purple 2, we'll save that. And there's purple 1. See that? So everything that you do is queued up until you get to the Add Art page. And that's also true if you, for example, you are uploading art. You want to upload like 5 pieces. You can just keep uploading 5 pieces. You don't have to go to this page every time. You just keep uploading, uploading, uploading. And then finally when you get here, everything's in the queue, and you'll have a chance to name them all and save them all in a row. Thanks, Pat. That was a good call. If I save that again, now we've got all these pieces of art awaiting approval. Now, who can tell me if I approve all these pieces of art, I'm going to do that right now. When I get done approving them, who can see the art that I just approved? Who can see that?
Well, isn't everyone able to see it, or just?
Only the owner.
Exactly.
Oh.
Only appears in my gallery. These 3 pieces of art that I just made, I'm the only one in the world who can see that.
So how do
In order
you
for it to be seen, I've got to add it to a thread or start a new thread. So threads are the public side of the gallery, and my gallery is the private side. And we do this because some kids don't, you don't always want to share all your art. You want to have your own collection, so to speak. Does that make sense? Everybody get that?
Yes, yes.
And that may be an encouraging thing to say to a student who might be shy about their art. Oh, I'm not an artist. Oh, I don't want people to see this. You say, no, that's okay. You're the only one who's going to see it. If you like to share it, you're going to put it in a thread or you're going to make a new thread. Next question.
Rob, this is Wendy.
Yeah.
You know what I think is so much fun to do is when you upload artwork and then you edit it in some fashion. I think that, and it can also be used as a stamp. There's so many different ways. And I have, when we taught this, actually done it as a photography class where you teach kids to take pictures and then upload the pictures and then edit them. So it teaches them a little bit of, design structure also, graphic design structure.
Yeah, that's a great point. How you do that is you actually have to pick the shape tool here, the last one on the bottom left. And when you do that at the bottom, you'll see that there's a letter A, grab images from your ArtThread gallery, or there's a folder and you can just grab images from your hard drive. So this is another way, a backdoor way for you to get art onto the gallery. Don't tell the kids this. You can just grab it from your hard drive and put it up. Don't worry, it still has to be approved when you save it. So if I click this A here, now I can go from my favorites, See how cool that is? Just because I favorited something, now I can paint with it. So as I'm going to, once I do that, I have to grab it from the, oh, where'd it go? Did I not do it right? Yeah, there it is. So now I can control how big it is as a brush. I'm going to make it a little smaller. I can just stamp it right there. I can make it a little bigger and stamp it there. I can allow rotation, stamp it there. Or I can have free dragging and just have it go crazy. So you can paint with someone else's painting, or you could create a collage for the class. Imagine that. That's another way for you to share art with everyone. Let's say that I've got, 15 pieces of art. I'm just going to make a nice little grid here of art. Here's another one. I'm going to say OK. It appears down here in the bin. I'm going to load that one up. And pretty soon what I've got here is a nice collage of all the art that got made. Oops, not that one. How about that one? That got made in the class. So yeah, and if you, as Wendy said, you could have a photograph and start drawing on the photograph, which is very cool. For example, here's a photo. And if I want to stamp it across the whole screen, I can just make it big. And there it is. Now it fills the whole screen. And now what I can do is grab a brush and maybe I'll call it yellow, and I'll pretend that we're in some kind of alternate universe and there's a green sun. Crazy. So yes, Wendy, good call. Lots of amazing opportunities for you to do mixed media in Splash with no cleanup.
And I see Mary Williams has a question about a single line drawing on the program.
Yeah, sure. So if I'm going to hit new again, and if I just go here to the brushes and pick the smallest basic brush, size 1, and I can just, hold on, I better get a color that's got some beef to it here. Down completely, the opacity up completely, and now I'm drawing. It's such a fine line you can hardly see it. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Oops, what did I do there? Yeah, you can draw figuratively with this. In other words, instead of abstract art, you can draw a single line. And if you know what you're doing, let's do chromosomes. There you go. That's not bad. So yes, a lot of people will figure out how to do figurative work that looks, that has some degree of realism, and a lot of the tools will help you in that regard too. So a good question. It's not just abstract shapes and forms, and you can draw with it.
Some of the students like to even do outlining. So if they find a realistic picture that they want to upload, then they'll take it, like the ones we were looking at, the little fairy girl earlier. That was actually one of my students, and he would take it and outline the image.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Nice idea.
He was known to put a few mustaches on him too, but
It's okay. We're not against mustaches here. Yeah, here's an example here of someone who just did some art with some, these are some of the pre-made shapes that the tool has, and they added a few lines, and lo and behold, they have a little piece of art. Those are clouds right there. Let's see what else we can find on the gallery here. That's an example of that. Here's a great example again. This is Margaret. She just does amazing work. She kind of figured out how these repetitive patterns could be used and used the grass brush really big here for these and small for these, and created this very otherworldly piece of art. She's our master of the splash. Oh, there's the one there. That's an interesting one. Again, using some of the pre-made shapes and getting creative and understanding how to line them all up after a little bit of experimentation. Hector, the art of Hector, he really got into it. See that? Those were all shapes from within the shape tool, but done in a very cool way. Very nice. So what you're going to find is that the students are going to probably teach you how to do this. You know, some of them just get unleashed, and it's great. They have this one here that they obviously uploaded something there. That's what else we have. So feel free to ask me questions while I'm poking around here showing you examples. Don't stop. There's some shapes there too that were used. I see Laura asked if the recording will be available, and the answer is yes. Once we get done, I'll make that available. Wendy can share that link. I don't know, Wendy, how do we do that? Do you put it on your website or is it on our website? I can't remember.
Yep. Well, we can definitely post it in our resources. Yes.
Okay, great, good. So yeah, you'll be able to review this again and share it with folks who might be artists who could use a little bit of what we talked about today. Look at that doggy.
That's Maggie.
Nice. Let's see if there's any other things here I can share with you that are good examples of what we were talking about. Oh, there's one. So there's a portrait someone did in an art class with a few other pieces of paper under it. They just took a photo of it. And then if I go hit this button back to the thread view, now I'm seeing, oh yeah, I remember this. This is one of the trainings we did. And this is people just taking pictures of art that was done, you know, traditional art, done in the classroom. So even 3D art, you can put it on there. Gojira. Pretty cool. So any other questions about how you might use this, how you might use it in the class? You have a question perhaps about a specific function that you'd like to learn about? Anything at all? Wendy, then when do they start? What's their next step, Wendy?
So if you are not a teaching artist for VSA yet, you need to go onto our website and apply to become a teaching artist. And under the application process, they'll be asked, you know, what skills you have. And if you're interested, you want to definitely put that you're interested in teaching ArtThread. Or you can just shoot me an email, and I can walk you through if you're interested. Right now at this point, we are waiting for our ESE directors to make the classroom selections for the state program and the DJJ program. So once I have all the requests, William Coleman, who's our education director, will review what they're looking for, and if there are any ArtThread requests, then he'll come to me and I'll try to pair an ArtThread artist up in our residency program. So the best thing is to just let me know, or your regional coordinator know, that you're interested in teaching the program.
I would definitely be interested, Wendy.
And who's that?
This is Nanette Hopkins.
Oh, great. All right. Well,
Down by
Nanette, you are
Sarasota.
already registered.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll put in your profile that you are interested in teaching it. And so let me see. You are, tell me again where you are, and are you in Region 4 down south?
I'm in Sarasota, yeah, Region 4.
Yeah. That's
I think that's it.
okay. All right.
I
So
do Sarasota and DeSoto only
great.
counties. Yeah. I'm excited. I love it.
Yeah, I hope we can get, you know, Pat York, maybe she, not Pat York, Pat Fosnot, who's the regional coordinator, maybe shoot her an email also and let her know so that when she, or I can let her know, when she's speaking with the ESE directors, then she can, tout that we have somebody, because right now we've only had Body Hammer down there teaching.
Right. Yeah, I've heard wonderful things about her.
Right. So, but thank you. That's
Uh-huh.
terrific. I hope we can bring it to other areas. Dixie, I hope, I don't know, do you have a computer lab?
I think Dixie muted herself for now. Oh, here she
Yes,
goes.
I'm back on.
Hi,
Oh,
Dixie.
Dixie, do you I can't remember when I was down there if you had a computer lab.
No, we don't, but I'm really thinking about it.
Yeah, because there's so many things you can do with it, with the program. It's very interesting. And all of these images that the students make, you can download onto your own computers. I mean, they don't have to, then you can save them on your hard drive, and then you can actually print them. I mean, we've done whole ArtThread art shows, and you can frame them or just mat them. They're beautiful. And we've actually done fundraising where we've sold some of them too. So they're all great ideas. They can, you can have them printed onto T-shirts. You can, that's a whole nother entrepreneur side to this transition program.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely interested because we do a lot of stuff here.
I know you do. So Dixie, for those of you that don't know, is come on as a partner this year from Broward County for VSA, and she's running quite a bit of programs at her Friends and Stars art gallery.
Yeah, nice to meet everyone. We're so excited to be a part of it.
Oh, I'm so glad. That's wonderful.
Okay, so I think at this point everybody has probably received a curriculum map, and then you don't really have to go over it right now, but it's really basically a curriculum guide to give you guys an idea of how to work your 8 weeks, and to facilitate it in some fashion. It gives you the learning objectives, goals. We used to list the standards that were actually in there, but so many different standards have been changed that you can easily go to what is the website that has all the standards? Pat? Yes, CPOMs, right. And almost anything that you've decided. What we found the best thing with these standards is to really only select one or two. There's no reason to feel like you have to impress anybody with 20 standards that you're meeting. So going through there, you can pretty much, if you look under the visual art section, you will find a standard for that day's class, if you would like. So looking at the map, it'll show you how to introduce ArtThread, how to review Splash, how to save art, how to start sharing with your buddies, creating your favorites. It walks you through the day, or the different 8 lessons fairly easy. This is purely a template though, and I want to really stress that because a lot of you will have other ideas of how you would like to approach this. So I like to keep it super open-ended. This is just to give you ideas of how you would like to format your day, and if you're at a loss, the first time you teach it, it's pretty much laid out for you. So that's all this is. So if you have any questions, definitely let me know. I'd like to say that Pat York is a wonderful resource. She's been teaching for us. Pat, tell them your story about how you really didn't even like computers till you started doing this.
Well, considering that I'm not an artist and I'm not a techie, When we were first trained, I was really very apprehensive, not very happy that I was going to have to do this. It really took me out of my comfort level. And I've been doing this for, oh, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now. And it's one of the most rewarding and most fun classes that I've ever taught. And now I try to do at least two ArtThread classes per year, one in the fall, one in the spring, and it's just a blast. I will tell you, if you're not an artist or even if you are an artist, sometimes Splash can be a little bit overwhelming because if you're if you want it to look a certain way, don't get intimidated that it doesn't look that way. Just try doing something else, and if you don't like it, don't save it, start over again, and there really is no right answer, so whatever you do, it doesn't matter. But it's really been a fun, enjoyable experience for me. And if you ever have any questions or anything, give me a call. I'll be glad to, walk you through whatever steps that you might have an issue with. And Rob is wonderful. He gets back to you really quickly. He answers all your questions, and like he said before, if he can answer the phone, he is always available, and he's a wonderful resource.
Thanks, Pat. You're my hero.
Well, thank you, Rob. You did a great job. I hope that this has inspired everybody to want to jump in. Tell your friends about it. If you know people in other areas, we are really lacking in so many areas of the state in finding qualified people that can go into the schools and work with these students. Many of these students are very, very challenging, as you know, and I actually taught one last year just to kind of really get a feel for what you guys are, faced with, and it was quite a challenge, and not all the students wanted to be part of it. A lot of them were very intimidated. They wanted to walk away, but I will tell you, after the first lesson, they may have sat at their desks and watched from afar, but their curiosity got them, and by the end of the 8 weeks, I had far more kids involved than at the beginning. So go in with extra activities for the students that don't want to actually go right on and become part of this. Something I would draw them in by letting them just merely drawing shapes, taking a picture with my iPhone, uploading it, and letting them see that it was the same image then on the screen, and then they would learn to manipulate it. So there are so many different ways of approaching it. So are you all done, Rob?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just so pleased to hear both you and Pat speak so comfortably and so expertly about the gallery. It's wonderful, and the rest of you, I think you'll find yourselves getting that same satisfaction when you dive in. So
great.
Go for it.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. Thank you, Rob, again. Thank you to ArtThread Foundation for working with us, and we look forward to lots of happy drawing.
Thank you.
Okay.